In the series Russians Don't Abandon Their Own, this episode will undoubtedly be one of the highest rated. However, on Russian platforms, they certainly won't show it. And while Russians once again don't abandon their own, something very powerful hits Crimea, resulting in the large landing ship Novorossiysk sustaining damage, as reported by Russian sources. Considering the adversary's terminology, the ship was more likely destroyed. Judging by the epic explosion, yet another Russian military ship has turned into a submarine, embarking on a search for the previously sunken Moscow. At the moment of the strike, there were 62 crew members on board. The Russian Ministry of Defense promptly reported the downing of 2 Ukrainian Su-24s, and for good measure, propagandists added another 2 F-16s just in case. So, within a week the adversary has allegedly destroyed 8 F-16 aircraft, even though they haven't reached Ukraine yet. The ship belongs to Project 775, large landing ships built in the USSR at the shipyards in Poland, and it is considered one of the newer models of this series, having been commissioned into the fleet in 1987. Today Russia has no full-fledged replacement for it, and each loss is irreplaceable and no less painful than the loss of a corvette or even a frigate. By the way, Novorossiysk received a warning from the Ukrainian Defense Forces on March 24, 2022, when the port of temporarily occupied Berdansk came under attack. Then the big landing ship Saratov was destroyed, but the Novorossiysk with injuries, but managed to escape. After repairs, the ship was engaged in the logistics of the occupiers, carrying equipment, ammunition, as well as kamikaze drones Shahed 136. Given the detonation that could be observed in the port that night, it was clearly not empty. Later photos of the damage appeared and they clearly show that the ship was on fire from bow to stern. The ship was literally melted. Apparently, the ship was loaded with something so explosive, and it detonated. According to some sources, the scale of the explosion indicates that there were Shahed kamikaze drones on board. According to other sources, there were artillery shells and Grad MLRS on board. Thus the Ukrainian Defense Forces clearly calculated the moment when the ship could be hit as effectively as possible, destroying both it and the weapons it was carrying. The large landing ships themselves are critical assets for Russian logistics in Crimea, but their numbers are steadily dwindling under Ukrainian Defense Forces strikes. I have already said many times that Ukraine, having no fleet, managed to almost completely paralyze the Russian Black Sea Fleet, and inflict on it losses comparable to those in World War II. 2023 became the year of naval victory for Ukraine. A state without its own fleet has neutralized at least 20 vessels of the Russian Black Sea Fleet, despite threats and Russia's blockade, organizing a corridor for grain deliveries from Ukrainian ports. These victories reveal Ukraine's strategic intelligence in coordinating military operations, the ultimate goal of which is to expel Russia from Crimea.